The Illuminati, as the popular term for them today, is a group which has been around for thousands of years on this planet. They came from off of this planet and interbred with humans. They are reptilian. And they continue to try and keep their genetics pure and interbreed with these chosen bloodlines. These beings are part human and they are part reptilian. And they continue to run the planet. They are our world leaders, and nobody at this current time who is a government leader is there running the countries unless they were put there by them or they are one of them. To them, most of humanity, or all of humanity, they consider inferior. They consider humanity a resource to be used for their purpose. They are at a time, a very important time right now, when they are working with some new energies on this planet that they don't work well with. So a lot is coming out into the open, and that is higher law, that it must come out into the open. And they are under higher law also. The Rothschilds are not looked upon within the Illuminati. So they have many disagreements, discords, and arguments among themselves. And that is a weak point with them, that they cannot agree, and they have big egos. And that is where they will eventually catch themselves up with their ego. I was chosen because of the bloodline, and I was chosen because I have psychic ability. This was tested out and shown when I was a very young child, about age 3. When I was 3 years old, I was causing objects to move without touching them. This is an ability that they look for. It's not important that you can move objects. That's not the important part. That shows that you have the psychic ability, which is what they look for. Because reptilian bloodlines, in a way, they are very psychic. They can read any of you and know what you're going to do before you do it. And they're not to be underestimated that way. But they cannot enter into any dimension higher than a 4th dimension. They do not have the genetics to do it. They were hoping, interbreeding with humans, that they would have the ability. They do not have it. They continue to utilize human beings for many purposes, and the purpose that they utilized me for were my psychic abilities, my ability to enter into higher dimensions, my ability to bring down those that are still in this so-called 4th dimension into this physical realm. I was raised in the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church does not believe in any of this, or they are not acknowledging any of this. It reinforced my programming because it is very ritualistic religion. When I was 5 years old, I was taken to Russia, and I was involved in a program with other children who had the same abilities. The Russians were much more advanced in this area. They were very interested in the psychic research, paranormal research, and what happened to me there was that I was being involved in developing these abilities. They did an ice water immersion with me more than one time. It was many times. I was being immersed in ice water so that my heart would stop beating and my essence would leave my body. I was told that when this happened, I was to go to a particular room where there was an officer in a uniform sitting in the room. He was sitting at a table. On the table was a piece of paper and a pencil. All I was to do was to make a mark on the paper. That was what I was to do. And this proved to them that I did this. And it was observed. And it was recorded. I was not able to do this the first few times. It was repeated until I was able to do it. What this program was called was Operation North Star. I did not understand, it took me years to understand why would it be called that. Naval intelligence here was involved with it. The reason that it is called Operation North Star is because when a psychic leaves their body, they are taught to go out into the other dimensions through the North Star. My association that I was given was of picturing a submarine going into the Arctic Ocean, into ice water. And when that sub was immersed in the water, then I would start to experience this Kundalini energy going all the way up my spine to the chakras. And when it got all the way up to my head, then I would leave my body and traverse dimensions, whatever it was they wanted me to do. And my goal was to try and get away from them before they could latch to me in that state and control me. For many years, this went on, and I also ended up visiting the parapsychology unit at UCLA. That unit was associated with this. Jolly West was the medical director of that unit, and Thelma Moss was the psychologist or parapsychologist associated with that unit. There are many in the intelligence groups that are associated with this kind of activity, and they are working in conjunction with the Illuminati to achieve goals of total control. Psychics are considered very dangerous to New World Order. Psychics employ scalar energy, or scalar wave technology. That is what is the mode of transport of information and knowledge. Soon after I started recovery, I was in a conversation with a woman by the name of Julianne McKinney. To my understanding, was ex-Army intelligence and CIA. She had a contact in the NSA call her after our conversation to warn me that I was being monitored by the NSA. Have computers that do psychic monitoring, and they monitor brain waves, they monitor you psychically, and we've had this technology for a while. I was told, don't have memories, don't write anything down on paper, wait about a month before you do any of that, try to think of other things, because you are being monitored. That was very difficult for me to do because I was in recovery. When I was a child, in order to make me into an obedient slave, I had to be trained. And the training actually starts when you're a baby. Well, they're still testing you. They're testing you in utero. They're testing you when you're a baby. They're testing your response to noxious stimuli. So they will hurt the mother to hurt the baby. And there is just no other way to say it. They utilize astrology in order to ensure that they bring about somebody who has the particular characteristics that they are looking for. It doesn't mean that you will do this or that at a certain age. It means that you are more likely to be steered in this direction or that, and this is more likely to be your reaction. My birth was engineered to happen so that I was born, whether you want to call it Aquarius or Pisces. Numerology plays an important role to them also, because the numerics that you're given at birth, that is your name, are influencing factors on you for the rest of your life, even if you change your name. I did change my name legally, but I didn't do it to get away. I did it to add power. I do not reject my other name, but I add to it, and I balance it out. This is really, in the end, all about balancing energies and forces. This is what all of this is about. With the Illuminati, with humanity, it isn't about humans versus reptilians. It isn't even about that. It is about the misuse of power. It is about the misuse of energy. It's about the misuse of feminine energy and the misuse of male energy. And it needs to be corrected. This solar system is out of balance. This galaxy is out of balance. We are out of balance. They are imposing a false matrix upon this dimension. And this needs to be corrected. People need to be aware of it. This is how they will bring down the lower fourth into this dimension, which is their objective. What people need to understand is that the Illuminati strings are pulled also. They are not, in the end, in control here. They are also subject to string pulling, and they are also subject to being lied to by their puppet masters who are on other dimension. They're another dimensional level. They lie to them too. So I am not in judgment. My message is things need to change. Whether they want to change them is another matter, but we need to do something. When I was a child, the basic training that goes on with children is to remove a sense of safety and security. Children go through things like having a close family member, such as a father and or mother and or brothers or sisters, older ones, cousins, aunts, uncles, family friends, perpetrate upon them in the most horrendous ways. There is nothing more awful that you can do to a little child, because here is an adult that is supposed to love you, take care of you. So the little child thinks, this must be love. It's like having an explosion go off in your mind. And you grow up really being programmed into thinking this is how it is. You don't know anything else. And the abuse is so terrible. They end up being diagnosed schizophrenic, psychotic. They end up in jail, committing crimes. That does not excuse their behavior, because we all make a choice. But this is how it goes on. It goes on from generation to generation, and it has increased greatly. A child's basic need, besides safety, is shelter, food, water, clothing, elimination. This is basic training, because they need you to have an inside world, because you're going to spend a lot of time in that inside world. That they're going to take that seed and they're going to create all of these inside scenarios. This is how you create multiple personalities. This sets the scene. This lets you know that anything can happen anytime. I was involved in all of these things. I am not the only one. Whether they are using male or female energy, there are so many children whose births are not recorded. All of these loosely knit cults, which are really, down at the bottom under the Illuminati, have homes where these children stay and are schooled in a private system. These children are used in snuff films, porn films, ritual sacrifice. They are like slaves, and they disappear. Some of them go underground. I mean, literally, to underground cities, never to come back up. Some are food. They're a food source. They're an energy source. That's all they are. A mother goddess is someone who is maiden, mother, and crone. The maiden embodies purity. The mother embodies the strength. And the crone embodies the wisdom and the knowledge. My role at a ritual was to bring down what they call the ancient ones, the old ones from the fourth dimension, to be a literal channel through which this being, discarnate entity, would come. And they would beg to stay here. They did not like where they were. They wanted to be in this physical realm. And they have to be anchored here with blood sacrifice. In order to have the adrenochrome come out in the blood, which is what the reptilians need, those that take human form, and they need the adrenochrome to keep it, to extend their abilities, to for a little while have some more psychic ability. They need the adrenochrome. The only way that the adrenochrome can come into the blood, the way that they need it, is for someone to be tortured and traumatized. It helps them retain some youth because the human genetics age faster than the reptilian genetics. And they're trying to balance it out. I believe also that they are trying to balance their own minds out. There are specific tones that create vibrations that these entities respond to. And there are certain words that have to be said. Sometimes an entity would be brought down to go into someone's body. And you can call it possession of a demon, you can call it possession of a discarnate entity, possession by a reptilian. That does happen. And I always knew that something was wrong in my life. When you are dissociated, your world is very narrowed down. It's like having many boxes inside of your head. And you're only in one box at a time. And when you're in that box, you only know about that box. And then you're in another box, and it's like nothing else exists. You have different sets of clothing. You have different tastes. You like different people, and some people you hate that the other part didn't hate. You have different experiences that you can't remember. Or it seems like a dream, because there is some leakage of one dissociated state to another at times. So my world was very narrowed down, but I always knew something was wrong. I was very depressed at times. I was moody. I did things I didn't know why I was doing them. There were big gaps in my memory, but I took it for granted. I thought everyone was like that. I thought everyone had nightmares. I thought everyone had just severe depressions where they wanted to die. I thought everybody did little things to hurt themselves when they didn't feel good and to make it all go away. I thought everybody never cried. In 1988, I started questioning some things that were said to me. My parents are very, very programmed. I have flashbacks of mysterious, just seeing part of a ritual, and I think, what is that? I had flashbacks of men in gray coats around me. I had flashbacks of military. I had flashbacks of underground places. I didn't know what it meant. I started drawing. I drew things. I took a lot of time. Because I couldn't write. I didn't even know what to write about. There was nothing in my head to write about. So I drew. And I drew with my left hand. I drew with my right hand. This connects the left and right sides of the brain. I drew with my hands crossed. I drew with both hands at the same time. What came on the end of that were the memories about being around beings at military bases. And I came to the conclusion it wasn't drugs, and it wasn't costumes, and it wasn't holographic images. And I was not crazy. I had therapists that were willing to work with me. I didn't have any money. I had no source of support other than Social Security disability. My main concern was therapy and keeping a roof over my head, because I moved 11 times because I didn't have much choice in a living situation. There are many out there that are in this position. It's extremely hard because you don't have any support, and you have all of this harassment. Even now, people don't even have the option of therapy like I had it. It's a very sticky situation. I would estimate there's probably around 10 million people in this country that are programmed. Many don't know it. And they're being used. Their mind is not their own. They are not single-minded. They don't have the ability. They want you back in line. They want you serving your purpose. They don't care if you are beat down, trodden. Maybe they can't use you the same way that they did use you, but they're going to use you to the last. Whether it's trying out some new electronic equipment on you, maybe that's all you're good for. Maybe all you're good for is to see what it takes to break you. Maybe that's what they'll use you for now. They want to break you. See how long it takes. Make a study out of that. What I know about underground bases at this time, specifically Area 51, is that the first 5 levels are more or less associated with the United States government. But down to level 14 is not. It is also associated with a base in South America. And that base is on the perimeter of Paraguay, where all of the Indians in the area, they killed, hanging them upside down, draining fluid out of the spinal column into containers that he was told were this fluid was being used for a creation that was made up of human genetics, but it was also part machine, like a cyborg. This is what it was being used for. In short, it was genetic manipulation and experimentation. It's the same thing that's going on at Area 51. There is lots of strange phenomena going on at Area 51 that I was witness to. They employ psychics at Area 51. There is an intelligence agency that goes by the name of Janus. The other side or face of Janus is called Sirius. Sirius is made mostly up of trained psychic assassins. They're watchdogs. It is a person that heads this group, tries to stay out of the public eye. He is known. He is on the Council of Foreign Relations. The headquarters of this program is in Brussels, Belgium, in the NATO building. They train psychic assassins and sell them to agencies, other agencies. That is what they do. I want people to know that it isn't Illuminati that is, well, this group or that group that rules. The Illuminati themselves have a governing body. They are referred to as the Eight, or the Octagon. Those that watch for them are called the Eyes of the Eight. But I want people to know there is a ruling body that doesn't stop at the Illuminati. They themselves are governed by this group. They rule the 4 points of the earth and the points in between, according to them, for this planet, for all that live on this planet and in this solar system and in the galaxy. I think I had a hard time having hope until I realized that it was about balance, about the misuse of energy. You know, everything that we've been seeing since 2000 is because the energy is changing. We are seeing everything come out into the open now because it has to. It blows up in their faces. They really don't have a clue about what they're doing. It backfires. They're masters of working in secret. Things cannot be secret any longer. But what people need to understand is they're going to learn. So the time is now that we become aware and we question things. We question things. We don't just accept things anymore. Question authority. Question everything that's going down here. I am fulfilling my purpose. This is my purpose. People need to know what their purpose is. What they're trying to instill on us here is a sense of hopelessness, a sense of futility, no purpose. We have purpose. People need to remind themselves they have a purpose here. Your purpose is more than getting a paycheck, more than just going through the motions of raising your children and living this life on a mundane level. We are more than that. And what is trying to be imposed on us here is so that we're living out of the lower chakra level. Low energy, low frequency, low vibrations. Turn it off from here up. So we need to change ourselves. And when we change ourselves, and you are the only one that can change yourself. I cannot change you. You are the only ones that can change yourself. When you do that, everything else changes. Change your energy, you change the energy around you. That's why I have hope. You would not have recognized me years back. I was a whiner, a crier. I hurt, I felt weak. I couldn't do it. Granted, I was going through some stuff, but when you feel defeated, you are defeated. And then I thought to myself, how do I can't even see the light at the end of the tunnel. How do I do this? I don't know what my purpose is. There has to be a purpose. There has to be a reason that I went through all of this. This funny little voice said to me, if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, be your own light. You have a purpose. You have a place. You came here to have a purpose, to learn. You came here to be a vibrant energy. You didn't come here to just go through the motions and listen to people like me talk about it. You're here today because you know there's more. You know it in your hearts. You know it from the heart chakra up, you know it. It doesn't matter if your belief is Christianity, New Age, Muslim, atheist, it doesn't matter. You're all spiritual people. Don't turn it off. That the Illuminati have for humanity because they see us as weak. They see us as buying all of their belonging. And that makes us weak in their eyes. When they're not changing it, let's give them more. And we are being barraged all the time with all of this stuff, all of this overstimulation from everything. Television, radio, all the agendas, all the stuff they put on the news. We're always being just overwhelmed with it. But you don't have to be. The problem is that they have an agenda for the planet.
You understand what I'm trying to tell you?
And their agenda for the United States, we're at the top of the list. They're going to take down the United States if they have their way. We're the troublemakers. We need to be taken down. They're establishing biospheres in this country. They're planning to move a lot of the population out of certain huge areas in the United States because they want to mine a lot of this country for the resources. They want to depopulate.
Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
And they're starting their agenda. I mean, they started it years ago, but they're stepping it up. They're trying to depopulate through all of the viruses and all of these biological disasters that are coming through. They're going to make us sick, and you know what? Until we're gone, we're going to support the drug companies. We're going to support them until we're gone. They're going to utilize us to the last straw. And we are being groomed to accept all of this and not question it. We're getting used to the security alerts now because they're grooming us to accept Homeland Security, who will come in and tell us if we can eat, when we can go to the bathroom. Everything, no privacy anymore. It's 1984. But they are going to depopulate the United States unless we stop it. The Illuminati, the very ones at the very top, the top echelon, the most pure, their plan is to get rid of most of the population on the planet and only have their slaves. And they'll do their genetic experimentation and manipulation and make everything over again, make it a new planet. They want a feudal system. They love the feudal age. They love that whole system, and that's what they want. The next time you see speeches on television, they're considered impure and lower level. But they will do the dirty work, and then we'll get rid of them. It's going to be a purge. I think that something that people need to know is that we've all been subject to a lot of programming. Not just people like me that have been obviously programmed slaves to do the bidding. Since they've established this, I have to call it false matrix on this dimension, everyone is subject to programming. And it is made to be subtle, so that maybe you don't realize it, maybe you do. It's dependent on being able to shut down your higher chakra system. So people need to open those systems up, or be spiritually aware, if that is a better term. Open up your spirituality. when you consent with your consciousness to certain types of situations, then you give them permission to use your unconscious mind. And many people don't realize that. Your mind can be used like a vortex. I think the popular coined term is Stargate right now. Your mind can be used that way. That's what they're doing at underground bases. That's one of their major programs, creating vortexes in that way. People living in everyday life. When you turn your mind off and you turn your awareness off to what's going on around you, you give permission for your unconscious mind to be used. When you lose hope, when you lose sense of purpose, you stop thinking and you stop feeling and you stop experiencing and you give permission. And that's how these things are used. And they're used to bring in a certain consciousness on this planet. And it's a low consciousness, and it's something that you're not supposed to be aware of that's happening. I mean, among the more obvious things, using the media the way they do. You're not supposed to be aware of other things going on here. Because if you were aware, you wouldn't allow it. People need to research. You use your consciousness to get to your unconsciousness. You question authority. You don't just accept something just because so-and-so says it. I expect, after people hear me speak, that they will go out and research what I have said. You might like what I said. You might not like what I said. You might not believe it. And you might believe it. But please, go out and do your research. Go out and check everything out. Use your mind. You have one to use it for. Don't just buy it. It's really easy to just buy what you're told. Don't do that. That's how they've taken over. I want people to go out and start researching. Don't just believe it just because someone said this, that, or the other, or so-and-so said it. Check it out, because if it's real, there's going to be more on the subject, and there's going to be some resonance. And it has to be resonance that relates to this physical reality on this planet. It has to be in resonance to what is here. It has to have some reality-based stuff to it. It's moderation. Things are moderate. And things that matter. There's always moderation and there's a flow to it. It's just not based on something that's just way off in left field somewhere. People, use your minds. That is the thing that will get us out of this. Use your minds. Your heart goes with your mind. Where your mind goes, your heart follows. Where your heart goes, your mind should follow. The energy change, people want to be more aware, and I do see that. And this is just the beginning of this age. It's an age of waking up. It's an age that we have a chance to bring these energies back into balance. We have been dominated by a group that wants to even reject its own female energy and wants to utilize male energy, but in the wrong way. We need to bring femininity back into things, because that is the balance. Nature abhors an imbalance, and it will try to balance. It will do that if we don't. We need to take control and take the situation back. We need to take our power back. Everyone here can be empowered. And I'm not saying that it's just automatic. You have to work at it. I have bad days. I have days where I'm scattered. I have days where things don't work for me. I have days where I don't look like when I'm up here standing in front of all of you. I have days you don't want to be around me. But that's temporary. And I know that. Things always will work out. I didn't know that years ago. And that's why I was scared, and that's why I was powerless. And that's why I wasn't single-minded. But I have been through so much. Nothing that happens can ever take that away from me. Because I found myself. And I know who I am. And I wasn't supposed to know who I was. That was how they could use me. And that's how they use people. They use people that don't know who they are, don't know their power, don't know that they have potential, have no hope. As a country, the United States doesn't know anymore who it is. We're divided. All this stuff is happening. We have lost sense of purpose. We have so many distractions. And they've made sure we have distractions. And when we have all these distractions, what are they doing with their other hand? They're doing something with their right hand. They're doing something else with their other hand behind their back. And we're too distracted to see what that is or to realize the implications of it. We don't have to go down. Maybe they do. But I ain't going there. None of you have to go there. I think that people here are thinking about how, they have been deceived. But what it all comes down to is, how are you deceiving yourselves? Are you deceiving yourselves? You are, if you think that people that speak are enough. We're not enough. All of us that speak, we're not enough. You all need to be part of it. You must be part of this. That is how humanity evolves. You have to be part of the process. You're deceiving yourselves if you leave this conference and you go home and you just go on with your lives. You have to bring this back with you and decide what is your purpose here. You have purpose. And you figure out what your purpose is and you serve your purpose here. There is no higher calling. There is nothing greater that you can do than do what you came here for. I have been through the things that I have in order that I can be here and talk to you like this. I wouldn't like to go through all of it again, but I'm glad that I went through it, because in order for me to be here, I had to be there. It is my purpose and it is my destiny to be here talking to you about what your purpose and destiny are, and you have to go out and serve your purpose and destiny. You have great power. If I cannot say anything more to you today, I want you to know that. You're all powerful people, but you have to go out and fulfill it. You have to know who you are. And then you do what you're here to do. And as you do that, this old system will crumble. And that is the sense of hope that I have, because I am no longer deceived. I may not have every single answer, but I know that I will be able to connect. I know that I have a sense of purpose. I know that I can overcome. I know that the human spirit is wonderful. I know that I am, even if I don't feel like it. I know. And that is what every one of you needs to know. You have something so great. You have this wonderful spirit. And it needs to be nurtured, and you need to know it. You need to know yourself. I have overcome my goal, my task was to overcome not knowing. But the purpose for me was to know who I was. Once you know who you are, there isn't anything that stands in your way. And I am deceived no more. Thank you very much.